Hi, I'm Jay, welcome to the workshop, and today we're going to install our Autobox cooler. Now, I've already done a video on all the parts which we're going to use for today, which is probably linked up here somewhere. So if you're interested in why I picked certain items and how I went about choosing them, watch that video. However, today we're going to actually get the radiator mounted in around about here, get the pipes connected and ready to route to the original Autobox piping, and then yeah, we'll be ready to fill up. So basically, like I said, I was going to mount it about here, which is as close in line of the fan as I can get, and it's going to be mounted on anti-vibration mounts with a crossbar here, and then something to attach it down to the existing cross member here. I'm going to try and avoid drilling any holes in the existing cross members, mainly because I want this to be bolt in, bolt out, so if we need to replace any cross members or anything like that, we don't have to start drilling away again. So I'm going to try and utilise some of the original mounting points, but other than that, let's crack on. So first of all, I've taken the bumper and the grille already off, and I'm just going to measure up the space and roughly find out where I need it and work out where the brackets are going to go. Once I've figured that out, I need to install these anti-vibration bushings onto the radiator first, just so I can get a measurement of the distance between the brackets I'm going to need for this to fit. I'm making the whole bracket system out of 50 by 50 by 6 aluminium angle, which will be strong enough for this application, and it's also going to mean it's not going to rust. Could have used steel, but working with aluminium is a little bit easier than steel, I find, so that's what I've done. I've just marked out and used a straight edge to create a straight line. I don't have any kind of cutting equipment other than a grinder, so all these cuts have to be done by hand. The pieces of angle needed to be cut down, so they are more of an unequal angle, so I think it was around about 30mm one side and the full 50mm the other. Again, just cut down with a grinder. So now I've made my two brackets. I just need the one mounting hole in the middle to mount it onto the anti-vibration mount. And this is basically the concept I was going for the two brackets. Now I need an infill piece in the middle, so I measure the gap, and again with the same 50 by 50 by 6 aluminium angle, cut the center piece. Which, as you can see, clearly fits in the middle here and gives me a mounting point to mount onto the cross rails. Again, I needed to trim this down a little bit just to get rid of the excess material, just so I don't catch anything when we come to mount it. Now that's all trimmed down to size, I make a couple of marks to mark the orientation before I start to prep it for welding. It's recommended you put a 30-degree chamfer on each bit of plate just to increase the surface area of the weld, thus making it stronger. Once that had been done on all the pieces that were going to be welded together, I clamped it in the vise and tacked it together. Obviously this is aluminium, so it's a little bit more difficult to weld. You need a AC TIG, which I have, and it's a little bit more difficult weld than steel, so you could duplicate this bracket in steel, which would make it a lot easier to actually weld. But luckily enough, I have the machine and the skill set to weld that. So I'll put a couple of large tacks on to try and stop it pulling in certain directions, and then welded the full width in one go, and then welded the same the other side as well. Now all fits onto the mounting, so I bolted it onto the radiator and offered it in place, and found my measurement for my mounting hole. I'm using a single 10mm bolt, which was already there for the horn, which will be bolted back into place afterwards. Now, using the same techniques, I made a bracket similar to the bottom, just a couple of pieces of angle that had been trimmed down just to secure the bottom. I didn't go with both sides. I found that mounting it in 3 places provided a solid enough platform and was easy enough to mount. So now I remove the M22 blanking caps, which stop any debris falling into the radiator during shipment, and using some thread sealant from Loctite, applied that to the adapter fittings, which adapt it down to 6 JIC, which is basically an automotive hydraulic fitting, and screwed it in and tightened it up. Next, I'll loosely screw in the JIC to 3/8 barb adapter, which has been already pushed onto the pipe, and figure out how I'm going to route the pipes, trying to avoid any sharp bends or nicks or becoming in close contact with anything else. Once I've kind of figured out the first one and what length I need, I'll mark it and cut it accordingly. Now that I'm happy with the test fits and that the brackets are pretty much the way I want them to be, I put a coat of etch primer and then a coat of black over the top, just to try and hide it behind the grill so it's not as obvious, and it looks a little better. And here's the finished product. I've obviously installed the hose clips on the end of the barb fittings as well to stop it from popping off. And I've also put some spiral wrap on the hoses to prevent any wearing due to vibrations and movement, as a couple of pinch points weren't exactly avoidable. So it's a few weeks later, after the initial radiator install, because I hit a bit of a problem. Now, if you watch my parts video, which came before this one, you'll know that I'm fitting a temperature and pressure gauge, mainly just to keep an eye on temperatures, because this is the main reason why we're installing the radiator. And the problem is the temperature sensor, that came with the gauge is quite long. So you've got the thread there, and then this piece here, which needs to stick actually into the flow of the oil to pick up an accurate reading, normally completely occludes the any fittings I'm using, because it's quite small pipe work which is being used on this particular auto box. So I tried several different methods. I tried sticking it in line with a T-piece. Again, that just blocked the hole. I even had a look at remote mounting it, so taking a takeoff from a T-piece and then mounting a little manifold block. However, I was concerned that there wouldn't be enough oil flow to get accurate readings. So after searching on the internet for quite a while, I decided to just make something up myself. So lucky enough, well, fabricator and machinist and access to a lathe and milling machine, I could quickly sketch up what I needed and then go to work and make it. So there it is. This is my little custom made sensor housing, and these have been milled off so that when this does eventually get threaded, because I'm waiting for a tap to come, it'll actually be at the right height just to poke inside of the oil flow. So it won't be occluding it too bad to the point where it's going to start reducing flow, but it should be poking enough in just to get enough oil to go past to get a decent reading. I'm also incorporating the pressure sensor in here, which will sit just shy of the pipe work, so again, as the oil flows past, it'll get a accurate pressure reading. So that's why this video has taken so long to come out, because I've been scratching my head trying to figure out how I'm going to get these sensors in. So like I say, currently I'm waiting for a 1/8 MPT and 1/8 BSP, because of course they're completely different threads. Tap set to be able to put the threads into that housing, and then I'll be installing that on the end of the pipe work and giving it to the garage to actually do the oil flush, because it's a lot easier on a ramp and they've got the equipment there to do it. So I'll keep you updated, and we'll do some before and after tests. I'll get some readings on the Hilux now, so we know what temperature after 10-15 minutes of driving the stock cooler does, and we'll compare to that to what the new radiator does. So until then, I shall see you later.